Right, guys, welcome to Motivation to Change podcast. My name is Sean, and today's guest we have the owner and founder of a mental health organisation, Minds Over Matter. Please welcome Caitlyn Nutt.
Hello,
How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Aye, not bad.
Yeah.
We've not said that about 2 minutes ago, but
Got to do it for the video.
aye, exactly. How's things? How's the ease out of lockdown treating you?
I'm just so glad that we're not locked in the house, to be honest with you. Although I've been trying to avoid the news a little bit. There's me coughing. That's ironic, isn't it? No, I'm glad we're not locked up and we can actually go and do things. I've been booking some holidays and things, so I'm just trying to avoid the news and not get negative energy from all the horrible cases that's happening. But no, it's been a lot better, I think. It's nice to see everyone out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I've not read it, but I think Nicola Sturgeon mentioned you have to have a passport when you go into
Someone
clubs
mentioned that to me
like
today, and I was like, I don't think so.
it's one of them. But we'll just kind of get into obviously people might not know who you are, and I've mentioned Minds Over Matter, but we'll go back to just kind of your early upbringing and stuff like that, a bit about yourself, where you were born, how your kind of early childhood and stuff like that.
Do you want me to get into the nitty gritty, or are we just going PG right now?
It's the nitty gritty.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I'm Caitlyn, obviously. I'm 23, and I was born in Irvine, obviously before the whole now you're born in Cross House. Irvine doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. So, so after in primary school, everything was all good. And then obviously when you move to secondary school, that's when you sort of make all your new friends and you get stressy and you've got to try and do your exams and things. And I think that's where my mental health, not issues, but decline happened, was obviously in secondary school. But yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. So after secondary, I had an unconditional place to go to university. I was supposed to go and do mental health nursing and adult nursing, and then I fell ill, like physically ill, and was in hospital, so the doctors wouldn't let me go to uni, so I thought that was the end of the world. I was like, wow, what am I going to do in my life now? Obviously when you're at school, everyone's sort of like, you go to school, you go to uni, you get a job. That's like routine. I know my friends were going to uni, and then there was just me like chilling at home with not a clue what I was supposed to do. So after I got all the clear from the hospital and things, I was working in Wilco 3 hours a day. It was honestly smashing. Loved spending 3 hours of my day stacking shelves and serving people, asking, do you want a bag? So that was exhilarating. And then I got the job I'm in just now, so I work in a lawyer's now. And at the start I was like an apprentice, earning like, I don't know, £4.50 an hour or something. And now I'm doing my paralegal training. So you can go to university to do that, but I'm doing it through my work, so I can still work full time and then get a qualification. So that's stressy as well, trying to work and do a qualification and run Minds Over Matter. So yeah, in secondary school, that's kind of where the mental health decline, as I said, happened. And trigger warning here, but I used to like self-harm, had like suicidal thoughts and things. Got diagnosed with anxiety and depression when I was 16ish, and also I'm 23 now. So I've been on medication since then. That wasn't a fun time, but I'm now almost 8 months clear of self-harm, which is unbeknown because that's never happened to me before. But obviously, touch wood, we're all good. We are getting there. Not had suicidal thoughts since last year, so I feel like I'm getting better. In that sense, obviously I still take medication and things, but I like, you become a stronger person when you find things that you can focus on. So obviously Minds Over Matter. although since lockdown we've not been open, which isn't great. But yeah, so Minds Over Matter, what can I say about that? Well, you came before and done some magic for us.
Yes,
That was
yes.
a while ago.
I know it was 2019.
Yeah, just not long after we opened, I think.
Aye.
Yeah. I saw your videos and we're all standing like, what?
It was a good experience, and I'll touch on Minds Over Matter just kind of shortly, so we're not kind of backtracking on it. So I just want to kind of go into a couple of things, kind of during your school years and kind of just leaving, etc. When everything kind of started. Now, was there a physical trigger that happened? Because usually at school, mostly when people self-harm and stuff like that, they're either bullied, they've maybe got problems at home.
Yeah.
How apart from that, before it happened, how was your upbringing and how was school? Were you the pauper kid?
I wouldn't say I was unpopular. I wasn't like at the top, but yeah, upbringing was good. Like I wouldn't say I've not had issues, because we have had issues. Like my mum and dad have been separated since I was a baby. Me and mum had a bit of, we were so similar. Like I'm really close to my mum now, but at the time we were so similar that we just clashed all the time. So I moved out for a while and lived with my dad for about almost a year, and that's when things didn't get worse then. But I was self-harming more then. But I think my self-harming wasn't like an attention-seeking thing. It was more, I felt like I was out of control. Like nothing, I couldn't control anything apart from I could control like hurting myself, if you know what I mean. So I was obviously not struggling at home, but I wasn't getting on with people. I was trying to fit in at school. Like I had the same group of friends all through school. That wasn't an issue with like making friends, but like I was really smart in subjects that they weren't smart in or weren't good at. But I didn't take the subjects that I was good at because I didn't want to be lonely in my class. So I took subjects my friends were good at so that I could be like with my friends, because I didn't like being alone. So I was taking, I done all my exams. I didn't really get very good exams because I didn't take subjects I was good at, but they were really smart with like science subjects, and like obviously you've got to take maths and English, but they were like good at these things, and I was good at like writing things down. So like history, because you've done essays, or like I don't know, like art. I was good at art, but I didn't take subjects like that because I would be lonely with people I didn't really know. So I think I struggled in school that way by trying to make myself someone who I wasn't, in order just to fit in and not. I wouldn't say I was bullied. I wasn't bullied like the way people are bullied just now. I would say I didn't make up that I was being bullied, but I felt like I was being talked about, or which I might have been, but I felt like I was being talked about or looked down on or whatever if I was like by myself or wasn't doing things my friends were doing. Like I didn't really like going drinking. I didn't really like going to like house parties, so I never went. But like the girls I was friends with would go, so I felt like left out in conversations and things. So I guess I was just molding myself to be someone that I knew I wasn't, and that was putting like a lot of like stupid pressure on myself, which made me not feel in control. So obviously self-harming was the only way I could control things. But I didn't really do it in places that you could see. Like I didn't really cut my wrists or anything. Like I would scratch at them and stuff, but it was more like places my clothes would cover, like my legs and things. And yeah, I guess I just done it to control it, I suppose, and just like after school, if I'd had a really rubbishy day or felt like I didn't know who I was or whatever, I knew that I could do that, and I felt in control again and could like bring myself back. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah. So I'm guessing when you were surrounded by people, it was a bit of a kind of armour, because you were kind of with people and having that kind of being lonely would trigger all these kind of thoughts, and if you're kind of with other people and stuff like that, sometimes it what you're socialising and stuff, but with the problems that you were going through, it was hard to socialise in a way if you're
Yeah,
not around.
yeah, that was exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you left school, did you have an idea of what your future was going to be, what you actually wanted to do, or were you just was it just the kind of problems you were facing at the time?
Yeah, when I was in my last year of school, like when I was 17 and 18, that's when I was quite ill. So I couldn't really walk in a straight line. I was having to, like, I was falling over loads and I kept passing out and things. So I ended up in the hospital and they done loads of tests and things. So I didn't manage to do any of my exams in sixth year because I was so ill that I couldn't make it on the days of the exams and things. So I only really stayed in sixth year because I wanted to go to prom. Really was the only reason I stayed. I obviously had my unconditional to uni because I'd got the grades that I needed to be a nurse in fifth year. But obviously that was like the only path I thought I was going to go down would be like leave school, go to uni, get a job. The same as all my friends were doing really. So when I can't remember what they're called, like occupational health or something like that, they obviously told me I couldn't go for uni because I was so unwell. I then was just sort of like, whoa, what am I supposed to do now? Like ended up in a bit more of a downward spiral because I just had no like backup plan, like no plan B. Like my friends were leaving and all moving to Glasgow or Edinburgh or whatever to go to uni, and I was just like still stuck where I am. Not stuck, obviously, like being at home, but I was still here like with absolutely no plan apart from working part time. I think at the time I was actually working in like a kids play area, and I needed like an actual more like paying job so that I could afford like bills and stuff. I just learned to drive, but I couldn't drive because I was so unwell. So I had like my license, and I basically had no independence really when I left school. And that was around the time that we lost Chloe as well. So I think everything that was just happening was just sort of like making it worse, and I just had no plan of what I was supposed to do because I just thought I was going to go to uni, and obviously I couldn't go. So it was unknown, which is one of my fears. I fear the unknown.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing just how open you have been. Like when Minds Over Matter started, you did share online like your story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just want to, and that's just a warning for anybody else, but just to touch on, if it's okay with yourself, if you want to talk about who Chloe is.
Yeah, that's fine. So Chloe was one of my best friends. Like we met through my dad was friends with like her mum, so we used to go on like camping holidays together, and that's how I met her. That was like the only house parties I would go to would be at Chloe's house, really. So yeah, she was a bit of a rebel, but we all loved her, and she liked like Minions, like Despicable Me. She enjoyed going to like raves and things. Yeah, we were friends for about 5 years, I would say. We like obviously had bickers and fell out during that time, but on her birthday, she took her own life. So she took an overdose of prescribed medication, anxiety medication. So that would be 2017. Yeah, 2017 she passed away. So it's 4 years this year. But yeah, she took her own life. So that was like, I don't know how to describe it really. At the time, obviously we were all in shock and things, but no one, I would have said, saw it coming. Like it was on her birthday, she'd been out the night before, and then no one could get a hold of her on her birthday, and then it turned out she had taken her life, so her mum found her. But I think the guilt took over everybody. You're always sort of like, could I have done more? Why didn't I recognise this? Like, she supported me, did I not support her enough? But I think in that frame of mind, she didn't tell anybody she felt suicidal. We don't know if she did feel suicidal or whether it was just like in the moment. Like I don't know how to describe it, but I wouldn't have said I knew that she felt like that, as low as that, and she couldn't go to anybody. Like she'd been out the night before, like her birthday, and when she got home, it was the early morning. That's when it happened. So we don't know what was going through her mind, obviously, but it is. You do feel really guilty. You feel like you could have done more or understood more, or why did she not come to me? But she was like the life and soul of like everything, really. If you were with her, you felt a lot happier, or she was always trying to like make you feel better. So it was very. I just could not wrap my head around it, and even now I don't really understand it either. Sometimes it feels very unreal, but that's why around the time of that, I did speak really openly about losing Chloe. I spoke really openly about like how I was feeling, because I thought maybe that would help me save other people's lives. But yeah, we just did not see it coming, and that's why I speak really openly about her still just now.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking to hear it, and it is really heartbreaking because it's real, and there's so many people that's like that has passed away because
Yeah.
they've took their own life, and they've not told anyone, and like there's one or two people that I've might not mention, but I heard that it committed suicide, and they kept it quiet, and it is really probably the worst thing ever. And I think now people are starting to open up a bit more. There's a hell of a lot of mental health things going online and stuff like that, and people are opening up. But it's very heartbreaking. And when that happened, when you were kind of getting all the shock and stuff, what were you thinking? Because you were kind of suicidal and having these thoughts and stuff like that. Did that change, or was that? Did it just continue, or did you want to do something? I know probably it was a wee while, possibly, that Minds Over Matter happened, but what was your mind frame round about just after that happened?
I wouldn't say it took the thoughts away, but round about the time, obviously, you're just quite numb to what's happened, the event obviously that's happened, and obviously losing Chloe. So I don't think I felt suicidal around that time when it happened. But I think that was more like trying to go over losing her. I remember feeling quite guilty that I had been feeling suicidal, because obviously I watched the devastation happen after we lost Chloe, and what it done to like her family, her mum, like myself, my friends and things, and especially going to the funeral and things, and then seeing afterwards like how devastated obviously everyone was, and how long it took. Obviously we're not over it, but how long it took to come to terms with what had happened, and try to wrap your head around it. So I did feel quite guilty for feeling that way, and I felt bad, like I felt selfish for feeling suicidal, if that makes sense. But I had the thoughts obviously afterwards, for quite a few years, not straight after, but I did feel actively suicidal around 2018, 2019, obviously after we lost Chloe. And every time it happened, I just felt really guilty again, because obviously of losing her, and I thought I know what happens when that does happen. But I still couldn't get rid of the thoughts. But around about the time we did lose Chloe, I think it just, I blocked out how I felt mentally, and it was more like shock and anger and grief that I had, more than wanting to end my own life. I think it was more, I felt too guilty to do that, or just too selfish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it was playing your head quite a lot, because like I've never experienced that. I've known people, but somebody close to me, like as a best friend, that's took their own life, and it must have been really hard. And I know that you did want to go and get help, and you tried to get GPs and hospitals and counselling. How did that go?
I think it was October 2018, I think. Yeah, because 2020 was when we had lockdown, so I'm just trying to think of years, it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I'm sure it was 2018 in October. I phoned the doctor, very suicidal, and I remember I was on the loudspeaker on the phone after my work. I was on medication and things, and I just got to the petrol station. I don't know why I remember it so vividly, but that's when he answered the phone, or when he called me back, they like callback appointment things. And I was driving to the petrol station after my work, and I didn't even have to tell him that I felt suicidal. He just asked me, "You never phone the doctor, Caitlyn, so I know something's wrong." Because I hate phoning the doctor, and I hate having appointments, and I hate medication. So I never usually phone unless I really need to. I just remember him saying, "You never phone the doctor, Caitlyn, so there must be something wrong. Do you feel low?" And I was like, "I think low is an understatement." And he was like, "I'm just going to refer you for counselling, like straight away." So he said he was putting me on the emergency counselling list, and I would be waiting about 6 to 8 weeks, and that was in the October. And I waited 9 months before I got a letter through. So it was, that way I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and obviously I was suicidal. I thought, I'm going to get my letter through, and I just wasn't. And it was months and months and months later, and I got a letter that said, "You've been referred to self-help." And obviously after waiting so long, I was like, "Oh, that's a joke, like I'm waiting for counselling with a counsellor and I've been referred for self-help." So I phoned up, obviously, and they said I had to go to this appointment or I'd be taken off the list. So you go to the appointment, obviously, and you sit down, and they said to me, "We're going to go through this questionnaire thing and see if we can help." And I thought, great. So they then said, "Do you drink tea and coffee? Do you drink like fizzy juice? How long do you sleep for? Do you do exercise? Do you do this and this and this?" And I was like, well, I have 1 cup of tea a day, really. I don't drink fizzy juice. I go to the gym and do weightlifting. I sleep for between 5 and 8 hours a night. Like, this is stuff I know how to do, and I know how to self-help, if that, yeah, that makes sense. I know how to do these things. I need professional help. And she basically turned around to me and said, "I can't help you. There's nothing I can do for you. We'll put you back on the waiting list." And I just remember breaking down in tears. I thought, I've waited so long for you to just blankly say, "I can't help you." I got put back on the counselling waiting list, and luckily I only had to wait about 2 or 3 weeks more, and they gave me a space with a counsellor. And I went to the appointment, and I've got like serious trust issues with like new people that I don't know. So we sort of sat down, and she pulled out a notebook, and I just like went completely quiet. I was like, "I don't want you to write down anything that I'm saying while I'm in front of you. I don't like people taking notes while I'm like opening up to them." So she closed the book again and just sat back and just said, "Just speak, just to open up and tell me whatever you want to tell me today to gain my trust, and then we'll come back the following week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, and we'll start digging into like sort of how you feel." So automatically when she just shut that book, I was like, right, I don't feel like you're going to be, obviously she wrote notes after I left and things, but I didn't feel like she was judging me, like writing down, like, when you say something and then you see them taking a note and you're like, wait a minute, what is it you're writing down here? Have I said something wrong? Or so when she closed the book, I just felt like I could open up a little bit more. So I think we had about 8 sessions, I think, and then she said she wanted to discharge me, and I was just like, whoa, like I don't know what to do by myself. I don't know what to do on my own now. And that was around the time it was one of Chloe's anniversaries. I think maybe it was a 2-year anniversary. So I was like, well, can we wait until after the anniversary to see how I feel? And then if you want to discharge me after that, you can do so. So I used all the techniques that she gave me. I didn't feel terrible over the anniversary period, like I wasn't suicidal and whatever. And then I went back to her like 2 weeks later or whatever, and then she discharged me then. And I was okay for a few months, and then October last year, I got re-referred to counselling because I had like a little bit of a downward spiral type thing. But this time when you went for counselling, they told me when I walked in, "We're not giving you counselling. I was having really bad panic attacks, like waking up in the morning and have like every single morning having one. So when I went to the counselling, she was like, "Nah, counselling's not for you. We're going to give you CBT." And I don't really like CBT. Right. So after 2 sessions, I just discharged myself from that. But since then, I've just been trying to use the techniques that the counsellor gave me years ago, along with like techniques I've learned just by myself, like researching things, and it's been fine. But I think when you get a good counsellor, it will help, and CBT does help for some people, but I already had bad connotations of it, so when I got referred for that, I was like, no thank you. Just discharge myself from that.
I think with mental health, it's quite hard because first of all, quite a lot of people do, they don't go and see therapist or counselling, the GP, and they don't want to open up, they'll just try and deal with it themselves. And then the other thing, and I think I'm quite bad for this, but you think when you've got mental health problems and stuff like that, and you've been through a rough time, and then you start kind of doing well, you think it's over, and it's like having a cold, and it will just go away. And like you see, like some success stories, and like they've wrote a book and they're now doing things, whatever, but they can still be having problems. And I honestly, like I've seen your Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that, and I thought probably like, oh, yeah, you're doing well for yourself, like you're right into the gym and all that kind of stuff and that, but it's crazy how what you really don't know someone, and especially with mental health as
I think
well.
a lot of people put on a front, especially on social media. A lot of people don't even, if they don't know me properly and they haven't read anything about me or whatever, they think that they probably would think I don't have anything, like I don't have any mental health issues or whatever. Because on social media I come across quite confident, and obviously you post your best parts online, which is why over the like a year or two I've been trying to post like not just my highlights and not just my best bits, and to make people aware that like the happiest people, or who come across as the happiest people, do have low points, and like it's normal to feel down and things, because a lot of people could look at my Instagram or my Facebook and be like, why am I not like her, or why am I not, do you know what I mean, like why can I not be as happy as that, when really there's a lot of days that I can't even get out of bed, or so I think when you compare yourself to social media, it's quite unhealthy as well. As you say, you would probably think I'm doing quite well for myself, which in some days I am, but a lot of the time is not the case. But obviously I wouldn't usually post that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, round about 2018, 2019, you're at a point where you're getting help, and you probably had good days, bad days. Then something changed. It may have not been like you had an epiphany or you started feeling better, but you made a decision that you wanted to do something yourself, and that was Minds Over Matter. How did that come about?
I'm just turning this light down, it's actually blinding me. So I had been fundraising for a charity called SAMH, which is the Scottish Association for Mental Health. So after my 18th birthday, for my 18th birthday, I got a voucher to do a skydive, and I'm scared of heights and planes. So I thought, I'm not diving out a plane unless I'm doing it for a cause. So I fundraised for SAMH and raised, I can't remember, it was around about £1,000 anyway. And I also held a black tie event and raised about 2,000, I think it was, from SAMH again. So although I felt good, I was helping people in that sense by fundraising, I didn't know where the money was going, and I didn't know, like, I couldn't see directly who I was helping. And one Sunday evening, I just thought I could help people by just opening a centre. And I don't know why it came to me. I have no idea where it came from. And the next day I phoned, well, a woman I know phoned me, and I put it on Facebook and was sort of like, I've had this brainstorm, I don't know where it came from, would this be of any help to anybody? And my Facebook went absolutely crazy, and my phone was going ting, 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 like everyone was messaging me. And a woman I know phoned me who owned a like sort of children's party venue, and was like, I have a room that we don't use in the evenings, you could have it to do your drop-in, is what you're wanting to do. So I thought, I'm going to call this Minds Over Matter, and it's just going to be a place where people can just go if they feel a little bit down, or they know someone who's feeling down, and get some information, or just get some peer support from other people who feel the same, so they don't feel judged. And a week later we had the opening night, and I don't really know what happened. It was sort of a blur in that week of just like, you've got an idea, you're having an opening night. I have no idea where it came from, I really don't have a clue. I just knew I wanted to help people in a way that I could see I was helping them. And then on the opening night we had about 40 people turned up, in here, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like, these people have some people came by themselves, some people came in like little families and couples and things, and I thought these people have actually came out of their house and said, you know what, I need help, or I need a bit of support, and I don't know who Caitlyn that is, but she's opened this place and we're just going to go to it. And I thought, these people are so brave just to admit to themselves, I need a wee bit of support. I'm going somewhere to meet someone I don't know, to somewhere that's just opened that I've never heard anything about, and just gave it a shot, and we've been open since. And that was in March 2019.
That's amazing. 2018, I had a bit of a bad year, and I went through quite a lot mentally, and it was about, don't want to get right into it, it's not about me, but I was quite bad near the end of the year and stuff like that, and then I started kind of getting myself, I was doing all these self-help things and whatever else, and I'll add, I was quite lucky because the work, I worked in a call centre, and they have certain employers that it's like an employee assist, and if you need help and stuff like that, you can contact them. And I managed to get a counsellor, and it only took a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. I had 6 sessions, and it went okay and stuff like that. But and then 2019, I was doing the magic, and I was kind of building up, but at the same time, I was wanting to do something and kind of raise awareness towards mental health and stuff like that. And then I can't remember, I thought it probably Facebook, because you see everything on Facebook. And I was looking, I was like, oh, that's quite, I may actually attend. And then I messaged you, it goes, would you want me to kind of come in and do some magic? And you said aye. And I remember I went in like the first time, but I never done kind of magic. I just went in just to see what else, and it was such a welcoming atmosphere, and like, talking and just getting to know people and stuff like that. And I've went several times, one before lockdown, but it was really good, and what you managed to create just by having an idea. Some people have ideas and they just don't do it, and you done something with it. So well done. It's went really well.
I think it was because, like, obviously I had such a long waiting time for the counselling when it was meant to be emergency, and there was nothing really open that you could go to, like, just to vent, really. And as much as your family, friends and stuff are there, you don't want to put not a burden, but you don't want to worry them with how you're feeling. So obviously when that whole brainstorm thing came, I thought, well, if someone could just come and just vent to me for half an hour, and then that would make them feel better for a week, that would be okay. But I think I wished I had something like that we could go to when we felt down, when I was in such a long waiting list, and obviously I couldn't really find anything to do for that. And a lot of the people who do come to Minds Over Matter now have been coming since the start. Obviously we've built new people up and things, but to see the difference from when they first came and they would sit in a corner and not speak to anybody really, to now when they're like the life and soul of their group sort of thing, it's crazy.
It's and like, when I walked in, there was just so many different people. It wasn't like, and that's what it kind of makes you think as well, because it is like mentally most of the time, but it's just, there's people with just parents, there's kids, teenagers, people with jobs and what else. And I remember when I went in for the first time, and first time I met you, I think you kind of picture just so like I somebody like yourself was the last person I thought would
Yeah.
open something like Minds Over Matter. I was like, she's only in her early 20s. What's going on?
I think when you picture someone with a mental health like illness, when I've done some school talks and stuff, I'm sort of like, do you think I've got a mental health illness? And they're like, nah. And you're like, what do you think someone who's mentally ill or is struggling mentally looks like? And they're like, oh, I can't get out of their bed and doesn't brush their hair and doesn't brush their teeth. And I'm like, that's just the very bad bits you're thinking of. Like, you could walk past someone in the street, like your best pal probably has anxiety or has suffered with an eating disorder or has had suicidal thoughts, and you don't even know about it because they're so bright on the outside, but you're being so, what's the word, stereotypical, and just thinking of the very, very bad bits where people are unhygienic or just can't function, really. So as you say, you wouldn't have thought someone like myself would open that or have an issue, and here I am.
I know it's been amazing.
Stereotypes.
I know. And how was it when lockdown happened? Or was everything just closed and it's been about nearly about 2 years. It feels
I know.
like.
It's crazy. It's nearly been 2 years.
How was that? I know you were doing wee bits and bobs,
Yeah.
but how was that overall during the whole pandemic?
At the start, when we first got into lockdown, I'm not going to lie, I was quite happy because I thought, I'm going to get 3 weeks in the house. Like, because obviously we're going to have the 3 week thing and then it's going to be another 3 week thing. But the first 3 weeks I was sort of like, yes, I have 3 weeks to chill. Like, my work was crazy. I was like on a circuit, like 100 mile an hour all the time. And I thought, this is my time that I get to just stop for like 3 weeks and recharge myself. And pre-pandemic, my go-to would be to go drive to sort myself or to like make myself feel better, or when I was having a bad night I'd just go and drive and cry. And I used to get thoughts when I was driving, but I'm not going to go into that now. But obviously you weren't even allowed to go drive, so I thought, I don't know how I'm going to cope if I feel down while we're in lockdown because I can't go anywhere. So I had to think of like new things to do. Obviously I was into the gym, so the gym's got shut. So I started going walks and things, but obviously at the time you were only allowed 30 minutes of walk, which when you think about it was absolutely crazy. Like, you better go for your half an hour walk a day.
Yeah.
Anyway, crazy. But yeah, the first 3 weeks were fine. I think I was in the house with my family. I was FaceTiming my friends, and I thought, this is fine, I can recharge. And then it was like, there's another 3 weeks, and there's another 3 weeks, and I thought, oh no, this is not ending here. And then I think it was after about the second lot of 3 weeks, I started to feel pretty bad again. Purely just because I was in the house and not doing anything. Like, Minds Over Matter was shut. I didn't really know how to help anybody, and there was people messaging me like, Caitlyn, you need to help me, you need to do this, you need to help me, like, everything's shut down, I can't get a doctor's appointment, I can't do this, can't do that. And I was like, I'm just one person, I can't even see my team, I can't see the group. I'm not professional, but I feel like I need to help you because I can't say no, and I've opened this to help people. But at the same time, I was then draining myself by helping other people. So yeah, I started to feel quite bad after like a couple of weeks into it. Everything was still shut, there was literally nothing open. And I thought, right, I'll start doing, I don't know if you've seen the first lot of smile bags we did, so I put like a thing on Facebook, and I thought, I'm going to do these little bags and they'll be filled with things like distraction toys and stress balls and what were they, fidget toy things and colouring books and stuff. And I think I've done about 100 the first time, and I'll just deliver them round about or post them to you, and that will be my contribution to helping people while we're shut. That's what I thought I could do. So we've done about 100 bags, sent them all out, and got in the paper again, famous and all that. And sent all the bags around, and that was great. And I thought, right, I literally can't do anything else. Like, Minds Over Matter still shut. And then I think we got to like July time, and that's when I went back to work. There was only 2 of us in my work, and although I felt like, great, we're getting some normality back here, I'm going back to work, everything was still shut, and I still couldn't see anybody. Like, I was seeing my bosses before I could see my gran, and I thought, this is not real life. Like, how is this allowed? Like, I can go into my work and see my boss, and I can't nip down 2 minutes down the road to see my gran. and give her a cuddle. That was crazy. I think it made me feel worse when I went back to work, because I then just felt like you were just working, like living to work. You weren't actually living, if that makes sense. That there was nothing for me to get up for apart from going to do typing at my work. So yeah, I felt quite bad then, until things started to reopen, and then the gyms opened, and then they all shut down again, and it was like a vicious cycle over Christmas time. It was awful. And now that things are open again, I'm just like, please don't shut us back down again, because I'm not sure I can cope with that.
Yeah, it was. It's just been a crazy. You couldn't write this, and I think I don't know if I've probably mentioned it already on another video, but Boris Johnson done the first national lockdown 5 days before my 30th birthday party. I was raging.
Love it.
I just love this story, but it's funny now, but not then. But the Friday before it, well, the Saturday, me and two of my friends were going to go to the bowling and stuff like that, pub crawl and what else, like a week before my birthday. And on the Friday night, Boris said they're shutting all the restaurants and that, and I phoned my mate, and he did not believe me. He was like, I can't be right. And I was like, I swear to God. So on the Saturday, we went up to his flat, and we over drank, which it was fun. But then I thought, okay, on Friday we'll just have a small gathering in the house. It'll be absolutely fine. That'll do. Monday, everything locked down. So I was sitting in the house, not myself, but with the missus and the Wayne, no family, no nothing, on my 30th. And I was like, that's kind of happening. And we organised a 30th birthday party as well, and it didn't happen. But
it's just crazy when you think back to it. Like, my wee sister was born the day before lockdown happened, and obviously my stepdad couldn't stay in the hospital, and lockdown hadn't even happened yet, but he wasn't allowed in the hospital for longer than like half an hour. The roads were like completely dead. I remember driving him up to the hospital, and I thought, this is like a ghost town, like, is this actually happening? And I remember being in work on Friday, and everyone was like, why are they talking about coronavirus? Like, why is everyone pure panicking over it? Like, it's just like a bad cold. And this was on the Saturday. Mother's Day was the Sunday, and then Monday night, I went to my work on Monday, and then Monday night we got home, 6 o'clock, Boris Johnson on television. He's like, we're in a national lockdown. Don't go to your work. And I was texting my boss, like, what is actually happening here? Like, is this real life? It's just, when you think back to it, it's absolutely mental.
But I honestly hope that's us kinda out of it. Touchwood, and I think at this point we just need to live with it. I think it's just one of them, and just need to see what happens. But what's next for you? In fact, I'll quickly touch on just quickly about the fitness. Like you mentioned that. How long? Well, when did you start going to the gym? And was it just to get kind of fit and whatever, or were there a kind of goal behind it?
I think I started going to the gym when I was like 16, but it was more like I would go to the Citadel and I would run the treadmill, or I would like go on the cross trainer. And it's because I've never been fat as such, but I've had like body dysmorphia, and I would look at myself and think, you're actually disgusting, when you really, like, I had visible abs from being such a low body fat. And I didn't really eat much. Like, I would, if I had, when I was younger, at McDonald's, I would have the McDonald's and then punish myself by doing so much cardio. But I thought that would like counteract it. Or I wouldn't eat carbs by past 8 o'clock at night, and I thought you couldn't eat anything at night time because it wouldn't digest in your body and you'd end up fat in the morning. Or so I've been to the gym obviously since I was 16, but it was never like a training to get strong thing. It was more, I need to go to the gym because I'm going to get fat if I don't. And then there was a period of time when I split with my ex, which is when I had the whole downward spiral thing, that I didn't go to the gym for about a year-ish, a year and a half, because I just couldn't get myself to the gym. I could not go myself. Like, I couldn't go anywhere myself. Really, I had too much anxiety to go myself, and I thought, you're gonna get fat here, and no one's gonna like you, and blah blah. Barely ate anything. Or if I did eat, I would eat like really small portions. But now, since, well, just before lockdown, I was I was weight training, and then in January this year, I got an online coach. So he wrote me a meal plan, and he wrote me my training plan, and I have between 5 and 6 meals a day, which is hard. I can't fit much more food in my body. And then I do training 4 to 5 times a week, and it's just weight training. So like tonight, I've just been back from the gym, which is why I look a state and I'm in my gym clothes. But I done like legs training tonight, so I was like squatting with the free weights bar, which I would never have done before because I was never confident enough, and I was like deadlifting, and I thought that was like a manly thing to do, and I would never have done that before. But now I just train to get strong and train to build muscle. I don't really care if I get fat because I'm turning my fat into muscle. But yeah, I train now just to feel better rather than an aesthetic thing. It's more like a mental thing. Whereas before it was more, I just need to train because I need to not get fat, and I don't care how bad it makes me feel mentally. I just need to look good. Whereas now I'd rather feel good than look good. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's amazing. What doing the fitness and that. You got any future goals? Did I hear that you're looking at doing bodybuilding?
Yeah, so that's an expensive sport, and obviously I'm sort of doing bodybuilding just now by I do my weekly check-ins, and we're changing my diet to build more muscle and things. But I would eventually like to do a bikini competition where you train really hard and gain loads of muscle, and then you strut about on stage in a bikini. It's what you do to show off your muscle. But it's quite an expensive sport. You've got obviously all the things to buy for it. You've got the training to pay for and things. So it won't be this year and probably not next year. But eventually I would like to challenge myself to see how far I could push myself to do that. But yeah, going from being in a wheelchair a couple of years ago when I was really unwell to now lifting more than my body weight and stuff, that's probably the biggest goal. The now is just getting stronger and stronger week on week, until I'm at a stage where I'm like, yeah, you can go out your comfort zone even more now and try and do a competition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, just with the stuff you've said and that, any females that are watching this, definitely an inspiration. To females, guys, like I can't even lift my dinner. I keep saying it. I've started doing yoga and all that, and stuff, and just things have kind of came up and that. So I need to try and kind of lose some of the lockdown fat. So
that's my favourite sport, lifting my Chinese to my mouth.
Aye.
Exactly.
10 reps. Aye. So I've just got two more quick things. What is the future? What for yourself? What you mentioned about fitness, but what about like anything else with Minds Over Matter and stuff? Where you got any kind of future plans?
Eventually, for Minds Over Matter, I'd like to have our own space. Obviously, we're in Venture. I'll just put a little. This is where we are. We're at Venture. You should go there. So that's where we rent just now, and that's where eventually, once lockdown's over and things, is where we have the drop-ins. But eventually, once we've got our funding in place and things, I'd quite like to have our own place that we could get counsellors in from, and we would fund counselling for people who needed it instead of having, like, if you need to go privately, if the waiting list is too long, or like a stepping stone thing. So while you're waiting for your NHS counselling, you could speak to someone through us. But obviously that's going to take quite a lot of planning to manage to get a building and get everything set up and not employ counsellors but get them self-employed and things through us. So I'd quite like it to be like that for Minds Over Matter. Obviously I'm doing my paralegal training, so hopefully by next year I'll be qualified in that. I don't know if I would ever go full-time with Minds Over Matter or whether that's always going to be a part-time thing for me and hire people eventually to run it as well, so that I can still do work. But yeah, right now I'm just glad to be living life again out of lockdown rather than just surviving, really. Booking my holidays and trying to sort Minds Over Matter and sort my job and trying to be social, a little social butterfly again, which is quite hard when you've been locked up for 2 years. It's like, how do you even socialise these days?
I know it's a hard one. But I think hopefully we'll all it's like walking again. We'll all get there.
And to learn just a bit awkward at the start.
Yeah. And just as an overview, with everything you've said, what would be the main piece of advice that you would give to anybody that's watching us that might be going through either just anything that yourself that's going through the same thing, or what would be the main kind of piece of advice you would give somebody?
Probably not to hide, and I don't mean like lock yourself up in your house. I just mean don't force yourself to be someone who you're not. There's a good saying that now I can't remember now that I'm on the spot, but it's sort of like, don't dim your light to brighten someone else's, and don't try and fit in somewhere that you've outgrown, sort of thing. Like if you're a small flower, don't outgrow your pot. These sort of sayings. Don't just stay. So I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like, don't stay in a relationship basically if they're not giving you the same back, because all it's going to do is damage you when it ends. And when you feel that you're not going to be able to go over something, I can absolutely promise you from my experience, you definitely can, and you're just going to be an absolute better person. You're going to put that trauma and all that hurt into something good, like mine has went into Minds Over Matter, and that's where all my bad experiences have focused on something good. But yeah, I would just say don't hide and don't try and mould yourself into someone that you're not, because the people that appreciate you will like you for you, and you won't have to dim yourself down just to make someone else feel better.
Amazing.
Inspirational.
I know, thank you. We're both up. Now, I want to do one final thing before we finish. It's a wee fun thing. And I thought I could maybe do this and it'll be quite interesting. So I hope you're ready. Right.
Oh, I'm here.
Right. So if you sat down having a meal with 3 people.
I knew you were going to ask this next question.
Right. Who would it be?
Okay.
So 3 people. Who would the 3 people be? Where would it be? So if it would be in a restaurant, anywhere in the world, your house, and what meal would you have?
Oh, I didn't expect that. So do these have to be celebrities or just anybody at all?
Anybody. It can be celebrities, it could be anybody that's passed away or alive, anybody, it could be even cartoon characters. Just anybody.
Right. So I would have my meal on the top of a mountain at either sunset or sunrise, because they're my favourite things, with a nice little blanket and like some sort of picnic meal. I feel like sunsets and sunrises are just so relaxing. Okay, I would have to eat. I've just said picnic food, but what would I actually have? You know, like sausage rolls and like halloumi, and maybe like a barbecue, because I love a barbecue. So they sort of like a good get together meal, like a good barbecue meal or something with like picky food and things. My 3 people. Oh, this is a hard question. Okay. I would have. Wow. You put me on the spot here, Sean. Right.
I'm very sorry.
Okay, I would have Chloe. I would like to have another meal with Chloe, but not in the sense of, not because like I miss her or she's passed away. I would just like to have her opinion on the way I've coped with things, or things that she thinks I could do through Minds Over Matter, like to help more people. Do you know, get like yeah, it wouldn't be because she's passed away and because I miss her, which I obviously do, but it would more be like for help and advice. Like, do you think I've coped in the right ways? Do you think I could have done something better? Like these sort of questions. I would also have. Jonah Hill.
Oh,
Purely because I think he's hilarious, and I feel like he would make the meal a happy place and fire some jokes at me that I could use elsewhere. And the third person would be the third person would probably be, I can't think of a name, but it would probably be someone really high up in some sort of, like, I wouldn't want to have lunch with Nicola Sturgeon or Boris Johnson, but, you know, someone who's high up in sort of the ranks who I could put a message across and they had to listen to us and would make a change. But not Nicola Sturgeon or Boris Johnson, because I feel like they would ruin my lunch.
Yeah, probably Boris would be. You can have the barbecue and cheeseburgers, but you can't have. You don't have this. You can't have that.
Barbecue, but have the barbecue. Don't go to work. But go to work. Yes, I wouldn't have them, but I would have someone who was really high up in some sort of sector that we could put our voice across to and get help for other people.
Oh, very interesting. I like it. I like it.
That was a hard one.
It's meant to be hard. It's
on the spot. But I was not expecting that.
Well, Caitlyn, it's been amazing. Just the interview has been amazing. Thank you very much for coming on. I can't wait to see how things progress with Minds Over Matter and your fitness.
Thanks for letting me blab on.
No problem. And where can people find, if they want to find Minds Over Matter and get more information?
We're on Facebook, which is just Minds Over Matter Ayrshire, and we're on Instagram, which is Minds Over Matter Ayrshire, and I'm sure our Twitter page is MOM_Ayrshire.
Perfect.
I'm sure that's it, I think.
Well, thank you very much, Caitlyn.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and tune in next week for another episode. Take care, guys. Bye for now.